Hello everyone. Let's proceed with this next video lecture on this AC circuits. So in the previous we have talked about the individuals connected in AC source. Individuals means purely resistance, purely inductor, purely capacitor. Then we had a combinations like RL and RC. And in that sequence further, this is LC circuit which is in series and connected with AC source. So this is inductor, this is capacitor, this is the source that is being connected. We will call it as XL, that's a reactance. This is going to call it XC, that's a reactance, unless the current is I. So as we know, the current will be given by this expression, I is equal to I naught sine omega t plus phi. And then we need to find this I naught, and where I naught is going to be equal to whatever V naught was divided by impedance, which is Z. So if we are able to find Z, we can find I naught, and we need to find phi using the phasor diagram. So the first important point that we draw is a phasor diagram. In phasor, we try to denote the directions of these phasors, and then we use to find the final values, right? So again, equation will be some sort of this, that potential across inductor plus potential across capacitor is going to be equal to potential that you apply. That's Kirchhoff's law for instantaneous values. That means as a function of time. But if you want to use the peak or RMS values, then you need to put the phasor. So this is the phasors, and that these RMS or peak values can be thought of. So let me write it as a peaks, because we will prefer to write the peak values. And moreover, this current will be common in the two, so we will draw the current as a reference. So this is the direction of current as a phasor, or you can call I naught. And then we need to see if the current is flowing through an inductor, how the voltage behave. So you'll find an inductor voltage is leading the current. So from this current, voltage will be leading by 90 degree. So voltage has to be drawn in the upward direction. So this is a voltage across inductor. Now when the same current flows through the capacitor, then the voltage across capacitor will be having another phase difference, and that will be voltage will be lagging behind. So voltage is or voltage lags behind the current in case of capacitor. So this becomes two voltages, and you can call it, these are vectors or phasors. Now we need to find the resultant of these two. So resultant of these two is going to be the final one. Now here it will depend which voltage is higher. If VL is higher, so it will go upside, or VC is higher, it will go downside. So let's assume VL is higher, or whatever, as the case may be, you can think of. So can we say from here, let me write directly, can we say what this V naught is going to be? This V naught is going to be equal to mod of VL minus VC. So whatever VL and VC is, you can place there. Now as far as the values are concerned, you can say this V naught is going to be equal to, use this to find the V naught. You can write it as the I naught into Z. So that's going to be I naught into Z, that's impedance, is equal to, these values are going to be like I naught XL minus I naught XC. Now you can cancel out I naught from both sides. So you'll find Z, that means impedance is coming as XL minus XC. So depending upon which one is larger, we can open this mod. Okay. So, or you can write Z, that impedance is going to be equal to omega L minus 1 upon omega C. Right. So this becomes the formula for impedance. And once we know this impedance value, then you know the value of I naught. It is simply V naught by Z. So from here you can find the Z and find I naught. Moreover, we need to say about phi. So depending upon what, let's say if this situation, so let me write a condition. I'm writing over here a condition. The condition is if let's say VL is greater than VC. So you'll find the phasor diagram will be some sort of this. This will be current I naught or I, this is going to be VL minus VC. Now it will be upside only if VL is larger. If VC is larger, then resultant will come downside. Accordingly, phi will be varying. Now in this case, you'll find it's going to be like this. Current will be like this, downside. Now this VL minus VC, whatever we have written, this is basically V naught. So final voltage, final current, they are related like this. And you will find current is lagging behind by 90 degrees. So we will say current lags behind by 90 degree. Lags behind by 90 degree because inductive property is more because VL is higher. If you assume or if you find the case in which VC is higher, you will find resultant will be coming downside. So V naught will be here, then the current will be leading by 90 degree. So that will be capacitive nature. Makes sense? So we can say phi is going to be pi by 2 and plus and minus can be decided with depending upon which one is the case. For instance, in this case, current will be lagging behind. So we will say I lags behind V by 90 degree. By 90 degree. Make sense? Now let's talk about this RLC series circuit, in which all the three elements are connected in series. You'll find all three will have the same current I passing through. So current is going to be the common, and you will be writing here XL. Here you are going to write XC. XL and XC, what are these number? You know them. And phasor diagram is going to be the first thing that you need to draw. Phasor diagram. Moreover, you will form the Kirchhoff equation. If you want to write the Kirchhoff equation, how it's going to go? It's going to go VR plus VL plus VC must be equal to V in terms of instantaneous value. And if you write in terms of peak or RMS value, so they will become phasors. And phasors, that means basically we need to draw these RMS or peak values as a vector, then have to go for the vector sum to indicate this thing. That's what it is. Okay. And if we say which quantity is common in all the three, so the same current flows through. So let's take that as a base. So this is the base, I naught, or I you can call, and I'm calling it I naught just because we are saying that this is the peak values. And then the potential across resistance, that is going to be at same phase with the current that flows through. So that means it's going to have a V like this. Then VL, VL leads the current by 90 degree. So inductor voltage is going to be like this. And you will find capacitive voltage is going to be like this. So there are going to be three vectors like this. Now you need to find the resultant of these vectors, that will become V naught. Now again, to find the resultant, there has to be conditions like which one is bigger, like VL, V, the vertical component and horizontal component is given to us. So we can deal it with the cases, the three cases. There can be three cases, three possibilities you can think of. Either VL is bigger than VC, or VL is smaller than VC, or VL is equal to VC. So let's talk about all the three cases one by one, and then you will come to know what this RLC series circuit is going to be, or it. So in this case, what I'm going to say is, let's say VL is, or let's say if VL is greater than VC. Try to understand what does this mean. This means basically VL, we can write VL as I naught, because potential difference across this inductor is going to be, if we peak value, so this is going to peak value XL. Potential difference across capacitor as a peak value is going to be peak value of current into potential difference across resistance is going to be peak value of they are related. They are potential peak and current peak, they are linked together. So this is going to be basically greater than I naught XC. Why? Because I naught is going to be common in the two. That further implies that I naught is getting cancelled out. You are going to get XL is greater than XC. So point is, if reactance is more, then voltage is going to be more. So simple, because the same current they follow. Now, what is the meaning of XL? It's the meaning of omega L, that is greater than 1 upon omega C, which further means that omega square, because omega is a positive number, is greater than 1 upon LC. Now we define a number, or this 1 upon LC, let me write over here, 1 upon under root LC. We will be learning some time later the LC oscillation. So whenever the LC circuit oscillates, then you find 1 upon under root LC. This comes out to be frequency, angular frequency. Or from here you can think of this must be some frequency square, because dimensions has to be equal since we are comparing the two numbers. So we will call this as omega naught, and this is called natural frequency. So this omega naught is known as natural frequency. Frequency means angular frequency, because here in terms of omega. So point is, this basically trying to say omega square is greater than omega naught square, which further to say omega is greater than omega naught. Now this is the condition. That means whenever we say VL is greater than VC, we basically say omega is greater than omega naught. What is omega? Omega is the frequency of the source. That means it is outside frequency. That means this is a circuit. If this circuit is free to oscillate, it will be oscillating with using this natural frequency. But you are applying this as an external source, and this external source wants this circuit to oscillate with a frequency called omega. So omega is external frequency and this is a natural frequency. Now we need to basically compare between these natural frequency and this forced frequency. So the case 1 basically indicates omega is greater than omega naught. That means forced frequency or external frequency is more than the natural frequency of that system. System means RLC circuit, right? And that is basically coming from this condition. That means natural frequency will be less than the external frequency, which means voltage across inductor will be more than the voltage across capacitor. So there can be a question that if external frequency is more than the natural frequency, can you comment about the potentials difference across inductor and capacitor? Yes, we can comment. That means potential across inductor is going to be more than that of the capacitor. That means it is true both ways. So you can say it's true both ways. And if it is true, that means it will be trying to say that this is dominating. Inductor is dominating than the capacitor. So we will say this circuit shows inductive features. So it's an inductive circuit. So from here we can remember for inductive circuit what has to be happen. For inductive circuit, the frequency of external must be more than the natural frequency. If external source frequency is more than the natural source frequency, then this circuit is going to be inductive in nature. That means inductor will be stronger as compared to the capacitor. Now then this phasor diagram will be turning like this. You will find things like this. Let me draw the phasor circuit over here. You will find this will be VL minus VC, which is going to be difference of these two, and there is going to be VR and equivalent of this, because they are treated like as vectors. So we need to find the vector law to find the equivalent of this or net value of this. You will find the net value is going to be some sort of this. So this will be indicating V naught, and I naught is where? I naught is in the direction of VR. So this is I naught. Now you can see which quantity is leading in this case. You will find voltage is leading, voltage is upside, or if we talk about the current is lagging behind. And we know in inductor current lags behind. And how much angle is this is the phi we can find out. Since it is inductive, so from here it is clear I lags behind. I lags behind voltage. Understood? That means whenever you find VL is greater than VC, or you can say XL is greater than XC, or you can say external frequency is more than the natural frequency, then it's going to be inductive in nature and current will be lagging behind, voltage will be leading at this. And how much that angle will be? So next question will be finding this phi value. We can easily find this phi value. We can say this is the resultant of these two vector VL minus VC and VR. So tan phi can be easily applied over here, and that tan phi is going to be, let me write over here, this tan phi is going to be equal to this VL minus VC divided by VR. Now these are the values of VL, VC, VR we can place over here. So it will be I naught XL minus I naught XC divided by I naught into R. I naught will get cancelled out. So we get to know a formula called tan phi, which is equal to XL minus X divided by R. So this becomes a formula to find the phase difference. Phase difference in the case of inductive LRC circuit. Right, so XL will be known to us, XC will be known to us, R will be known to us. After dividing, we can find tan inverse, that will be giving you phi value. Now further we can also calculate this impedance. So for that sake, use this resultant formula, and as per the resultant formula you'll find it's going to be V naught is going to be equal to square root of this is square plus this is square, right? This is a vector sum of these two vectors. So we can write it as a VR square plus VL minus VC whole square. Now since these are the peak values I'm writing, so you can write it as I naught Z in order to find impedance, and you will find these all will be written in terms of resistance, reactances and the current. You'll find it's going to be I naught square R square, and plus within this bracket you will find it's going to be I naught XL minus I naught XC whole square. Makes sense? So you will find this I naught square will be taken outside, then after this that term is common, so outside this square root it will be I naught, and I naught will get cancelled out. So ultimately you will find the impedance of this RLC series circuit is going to be this. Is going to be square root of R square plus XC minus, or X, what we have written over here, it should be XL minus XC. But anyhow, it doesn't matter because it's within this square, right? So within this square, this order does not going to play much important role. But still, to make things proper, let me write here is L. So it's XL. Makes sense? So from here, now we have calculated impedance as well, which is very popular question in these kind of circuits. So once we got to know this impedance, again, I naught can be calculated just by following this rule, that I naught is going to be V naught by Z. So I naught is going to be calculated by using V naught by Z, and for Z we got to know the formula, and from here we can calculate the phi, so we can calculate the value of I that is going to go in this case. Once we get to know this I, then we can say potential across this is I into R, across this is I into XL, across this is I into XC. So we know the potential across each and every element. That means this circuit is completed or completely solved. Making sense? So this is one case in which we have talked about or we have assumed that this VL is greater than VC, or external frequency is more than the natural frequency. Similarly, we can go for the second case and the third case. And now you can catch what to do in second case. In second case, we need to reverse it. So if we reverse this symbol, so all these symbols will get reversed. That's the only thing. And calculation will remain the same. So let's reverse all these symbols, and we are considering the case in which VC is greater now. So VL is less than VC. So this is going to be less than, so this is going to be less than, here you will find less than, here you will find less than, this is also going to be less than. So you'll find external frequency is less than the natural frequency, or you can say natural frequency is greater than the external frequency. Then our conclusion will reverse. What the conclusion will be, and what this phasor diagram is going to be, these things will get reversed. So let me redraw them. And this is also going to be changed a bit. So phasor diagram, this was the original one. Now it will be like VC is more. So if it is VC is more, so this will be VC minus VL, and this will be R, or you can call it as a VR. Along with that, there is going to be the direction of current. So this is going to be the direction of current, I naught, and the resultant of all the voltages is going to be somewhere here. Now you'll find this voltage is going to be lagging behind, current is now leading. So you can write this current is now leading by certain angle called phi. So from current is ahead because it's in anti-clockwise sense, voltage is behind. And you'll find a conclusion from here. We can make it like this. In this particular case, VC is dominating capacitive circuit, so it will have a property of capacitive. So we will say the circuit has capacitive property, or capacitive circuit you can call it. Whenever there is a capacitive nature, then you'll find current is going to lead. So you'll find current leads voltage. And by what angle? That angle is phi. So current is leading, voltage is behind, and phi can be easily calculated. Now as far as the calculation of phi is concerned, idea remains exactly similar. You write the 10 phi. Once you write this 10 phi is going to be equal to this time VC minus VL, because VC is more, divided by VR. Then you can put the values. Then you find I naught will get cancelled out. So finally it will turn out like this. 10 phi is going to be equal to XC minus XL divided by R. So this will let us know about phase difference, the phi value. That was one of our target to find. And then we need to find impedance for the circuit. Then you can claim again the similar rule that V naught is going to be equal to under root a resultant of these two vectors, that means VR square plus VC minus VL square. There will be not much difference because this is within the square and the minus sign or order does not matter. Then you can put the values. So this will become I naught into Z, and you'll find I naught will be taken outside. After putting all the values, it will become like R square plus XC minus XL whole square. So properly you will get Z impedance as square root of R square plus XC minus XL, which you'll find numerically will come the same value as for the first case. So this will become the value of Z or impedance. Once you got to know Z, then you can write in the formula I naught is equal to V naught by Z, and you can find the value of maximum or peak current. So again, this is the case in which we have talked about this condition. So that's important condition. That means it's frequency that we have applied from outside. External frequency is less than the source. It's the frequency of the system or the circuit. So this is system or circuit's frequency. Natural frequency, this is the frequency that is applied from the outside or this source. And this will be capacitive in nature. Whenever there is capacitive, current leads by what angle? That angle can be found from here, and how much the current peak value is, for that impedance can be calculated. Understood? Now this is the second case, and then first case, they were similar, right? And now we will be talking about the third case, that is going to be the most important one. So let's talk about the third case. In third case, we will say they are going to be equal. So let me write this. Well, so here is this third case. VL is equal to VC. If they are equal, then we can follow all the rules and we can find this XL must be equal to XC. And that very similar way we can claim that omega is equal to omega naught. So if omega is equal to omega naught, that means external frequency came to be equal to this frequency of natural frequency. This condition is known as resonance condition. So we will say this is a resonance condition. So what is a resonance condition? Resonance condition is a condition in which the two frequencies are identical. So resonance condition. So this third case is basically resonance of RLC circuit. And how this phasor diagram is going to be, you'll find VL and VC, they will get cancelled out. So you'll find there's going to be VR left over. So this is VR alone. And there is going to be current is going to be in the direction of VR, as we have already talked about. So what the phi is going to be, can we conclude what the phi is here? Yes, we can conclude this phi is going to be 0 because this is the only resultant and this is behaving like V naught. So voltage is V naught, phi becomes 0. So they are in the same phase and it's purely resistive circuit. So we will say in this resonance condition you'll find circuit is purely resistive. It behaves like purely resistive. That means effect of capacitor and inductor, they are cancelling out each other, and this circuit is going to behave as if this is not there. So their effects are cancelled out by each other. Only resistance will be playing its role. In case of this VL equal to VC, that's a resonance condition. Phi becomes 0, so that phi has to be 0 because purely resistive. You know, in case of purely resistive case, phi becomes 0. Then we can find how much the current is going to be, or what the impedance is. Since we are talking about the impedance, so we will say V0 is equal to VR, so impedance can be calculated from there. V0 came out to be VR. Now let's put the values. V0 is I0 into Z, and VR is going to be I0 into R. So what the Z is coming, since it's purely resistive, so R equal to Z. So R is coming out to be Z. And if we are looking for the current, so current is going to be V0 by Z, which is basically becomes equal to V0 by R. So I0 is equal to V0 by R. Now in RLC circuit, generally Z was, you remember that Z was, we have calculated is under root R square plus something XL minus XC square. Now in this particular case, or case of resonance, this became 0. So you can say that this Z is minimum. So you will find impedance is minimum in RLC circuit in case of resonance condition. And if Z is minimum, then you'll find this Z will be minimum and it is equal to R. So current is going to be maximum. So we can say in this particular situation, you'll find Z is minimum, impedance is minimum. And further we can say current is maximum. So I0 is maximum. And whenever there is a maximum current or amplitude of current, then we call that as a resonance. If you remember from the resonance condition that we have talked earlier, what is the resonance condition? When amplitude becomes maximum. And here I0 represent the amplitude of current, and amplitude becomes maximum because Z is minimum. Hence this is called resonance, and in case of resonance you find external frequency and the system frequency both are identical, right? So this becomes important. And when it is asking that RLC circuit is in resonance, then find the phase difference. You say 0, what type of it is, purely resistance, how the impedance is, it's a minimum, how the current is, current's amplitude is maximum, and the two frequencies are identical. That means it resonance. This frequency is 1 upon under root LC, so you can find that value as well. L is given to us, C is given to us. You can find what the omega and omega naught are going to be. So these are the three cases that are related to RLC series circuit. Further, we can talk about how this omega varies with, or this current varies with omega. So we will have a graph for that. So let's see that as well. Well, so now we consider this RLC circuit in, that means all the three cases together. Then we will find for this RLC circuit, this is going to be the phasor diagram, which is going to be true for all the three cases. And cases came when we compared these two, right? And in either case, you'll find the impedance is given by this expression. It's like under root R square plus XL minus XC whole square, or XC minus XL whole square, matter squaring this. So this is Z for all the cases. That means we can remember Z for RLC circuit is square root of R square plus XL minus XC whole square. And if we put the values of XL and XC, it will be in this format. So this is the current. Now you see how this current varies. Now this current in RLC circuit depends on omega. That means frequency of the source that we are having. And if we change this omega, then you'll find this current will be changing. Now some obvious values we can check. If we place this omega tending to 0 or 0, then you'll find this term will become 0 and this term will become 1 upon 0, that's infinite. So this will become infinite. Then you'll find this will become 0. Entire term will become 0. That will means it will give us the current, or the amplitude is going to be 0. And if we place this omega as very large, that means infinite, then you'll find this will become infinite, and 1 upon infinite is going to be 0. So infinite square is going to be infinite. So ultimately entire term will again tending to 0. So it will be 10 to 0. That means if we change omega from 0 onwards, so if we have omega 0, so it start from 0 and at infinite value it tending to 0 again. So there has to be some maxima or minima. So there's particular situation where this I naught becomes maximum current, and we have just understood this maximum current is achieved at that frequency, which frequency is called natural frequency omega naught. That means this must be omega naught, and in case of omega naught you will find this current is going to be maximum current, or the amplitude is going to be maximum. So I naught max you can call it. I'm calling this is maximum amplitude. Now, then after we can divide this into two segments. One part is this, another part is this. Can you see in the first part, if you are in the first part, in this part you will find omega that you are having is less than omega naught. And the second part is the case in which omega is greater than omega naught. So you will find this second is omega greater than omega naught. That means in this case you will find inductive properties will be there, and whenever there is inductive property, current lags, right? So here you can write I for current, lags voltage in the second zone. In the first zone you will find I leads voltage. Can you think of? So many times in examination it has been asked, like in this particular situation, what type of nature the circuit shows. Then you say in this case, since current is leading, so it's a capacitive in nature. This part is inductive in nature, and this is the resonance condition, which divides the two into different form, right? And that's peak value. You can think of that as peak value, right? So if we can draw another graph, so they are going to be like there will be peak, similar type, they vary. So in resonance condition, this is how the current is found, that is maximum current, and this particular is called a resonance condition, and this graph becomes important for us. Related to this graph, which we have talked about, this amplitude versus this omega, or I versus omega, you will find there is one quantity that is popular called quality factor or Q factor, which is also called sharpness of resonance in case of RLC series circuit. So sharpness of resonance is defined by Q factor or quality factor, and how we can interpret it and use it, let me explain over here. This is I naught. We consider one more value, and let's say another value we are considering is I naught by root 2. So we consider two values, the peak value and 1 times of the peak value. This peak value is at frequency omega naught, we know that. And if we try to find what will be the frequency of this source that we are applying to get the current, which is I naught by root 2. I naught by root 2, you can think of this is RMS value. Okay, so this RMS value will be achieved at these two frequencies. This will be, one frequency will be less than omega naught, and another is going to be more than omega naught. In fact, you will find any amplitude or any current which is less than the peak current, you will find that there will be two frequencies existing, because this graph goes up and comes down. So for every value there will be 2 omega existing. One will be less than this, that means one will be for capacitive nature, one will be for inductive nature. So quality factor is defined as, or Q factor is defined as, Q value is defined as, we call it as a Q factor. This Q factor is going to be defined as this resonance frequency divided by this gap, band gap. This is called band gap because this is the gap in the frequency, or band width. So we call it as a band width is going to be omega 2 minus omega 1. So this is called Q factor. Now if we plot different sources and different this, and we plot another graph on the same graph, then you'll find that another graph could be like this. If we are getting another graph like this, then you'll find its peak value is smaller. That means it is less sharper, and if we plot some sort of this, then that will be even more sharper. Sharper means how sharp it becomes to the peak. That means how smaller this bandwidth is, right? So if the bandwidth is fine, it will be going more sharper, growing more sharper. If bandwidth is larger, then you'll find it's going to be not so sharp. So that means more the quality factor, Q factor, more sharpness you are going to get it. So which graph or which circuit is more sharper, that can be found out using Q value. Q value is omega naught upon this, and we can find this value. Ultimately it come out to be omega naught, or we can write it as a 2 times delta omega. Delta omega means this part, half of it. If this is delta omega, that means omega minus omega naught, and this can be found out omega minus omega naught. So this is how we can interpret it. So delta omega is basically half of it. So that's why I am placing it twice delta omega. And you'll find it can be written as the natural frequency of oscillation divided by bandwidth. This can be further simplified to get final expression. So finally we can remember this formula, which comes out to be Q factor or Q value is equal to, let me write with this proper color. So it's going to be Q factor or Q value is going to be equal to XL divided by R. So it comes out to be XL divided by R, or you can write it as XC divided by R, because at a resonance, this is talking about as a resonance. XL and XC are equal. And then XL can be written as omega L and R, so you can relate with this. So this is XL or XC upon this. And the resonance frequency that has to be used, that means XL and XC has to be at as a resonance frequency, because at resonance frequency they are identical. So you can write it as omega naught into L upon R, or you can write 1 upon omega naught C into R. So that's going to be identical. 1 upon omega naught C into R. Now how we can find this, if you are interested in finding that, for examination point of view, if you remember this, that's okay. But if you want to know how this came, this is the formula, right? So what you need to do, this is the formula for I, and substitute instead of I, this is I formula basically. So instead of this I, you replace this I by I naught by root 2. So if you replace this I is equal to I naught by root 2, then you'll find is going to be related with this, and I naught is going to be related for this term becomes 0, right? So what to do is follow this way. Let me explain. This is the relation, right? Once write here I naught. When you write I naught, then make it 0, because that becomes a peak value, and then write it as I naught by I2, then keep the entire term, then divide the two equations. Then you'll find it will be quadratic equation in omega. So you will find two roots of omega. One is omega 1, another is omega 2. So this omega 1 and omega 2 will be calculated corresponding to this RMS value of current, that means I naught by root 2. And these omega 1, omega 2 will be lying at mid of this omega naught. So subtract this these one root, smaller root with this, then you'll find delta omega, or you find this omega 2 minus omega naught, that's also going to be delta omega. Put the delta omega over here, omega naught over here, then simplify, then you'll get this Q factor, right? So or you can remember this XL upon R, where XL is the this reactance at the resonance, and which can also be written as XC by R, and omega naught will be known to you. You can simplify it, you can find the Q factor, then you can also explain what this Q factor is trying to indicate. It is talking about the sharpness. If there two curves are given to you and Q factors are given to you, you can compare. The larger the Q factor, more the sharper the graph is going to be, graph of current versus frequency. So this is called RLC series resonance. So in this particular video, we have talked about LC circuit and particularly RLC circuit in detail, and in all the three cases, and the resonance case and the quality factor. And these are very, very important, right? So you make your notes. If there is an issue, let me know. Thank you for watching. Have a great time.